7 people were shot and at least one is in critical condition after protests in Louisville, Kentucky over the killing of Breonna Taylor. She's the black woman fatally shot in her apartment in March. Louisville Metropolitan Police report the situation downtown remains fluid and continues to evolve. Those are their words. The police report they did not fire any shots in the incident, but did make some arrests. Late yesterday, Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher shared a post on Twitter in which he said that was written on behalf of Taylor's mother, urging protesters to remain peaceful. The Louisville shootings come as separate protests continue, of course, in Minneapolis. And we're continuing to update the tragic story out of Louisville. It all started March the 13th. Breonna Taylor, 26 years of age, ER technician, former EMT, was shot and killed in her own apartment.
The shooters were plainclothes Louisville police officers executing a no-knock warrant. Ms. Taylor and her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, were asleep at the time just after midnight. A recording of Mr. Walker's 911 call has surfaced. Right now, we are joined live by attorney Lonita Baker, who is representing Mr. Walker and Breonna Taylor's family. Welcome to BNC Prime.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's get up to date here. What have you learned from hearing this 911 call, and what is Mr. Walker's status right now?
Mr. Walker's criminal charges have been dismissed, although the Commonwealth attorney did indicate that he may bring them back if additional evidence comes forward. However, we did learn last week how one-sided the grand jury presentation was. So at this point, the charges have been dismissed. In the 911 call, what we heard is exactly what we've always said, is that Mr. Walker and Ms. Taylor did not know that it was police at the door. When he first calls, the first thing he says is, "I don't know what's going on. Someone came in my door and shot my girlfriend." He's pleading for help. He's calling Breonna's name during this. You don't hear anything behind any background noise. You don't hear anyone identifying themselves as police in the 911 call. You don't hear any sirens. You never hear the 911 operator inform Kenny that it's the police. And it's really just a heartbreaking audio, to have to listen to.
That does sound terrifying, actually. Well, what about these officers who kicked in the door with a questionable no-knock warrant? What are they going to be facing?
We hope that they are charged. We hope that they're terminated right now. All we know is that they've been reassigned administratively. However, they've not had to really suffer any consequences thus far. And I think that's one of the things, though, we're not out there or a part of the protest. I think that's one of the things that the city and the citizens of Louisville are upset about. Why have in over 2 months nothing's been done to these officers?
Well, the people of Louisville have been protesting. We know hundreds turned out last night. There was some shooting involved. The police report that no officer discharged a weapon. All the victims were citizens and civilians. But what does this say about the climate in Louisville right now?
Well, and at this point, again, we were not out there. The family was not out there, so we don't have any firsthand recollection of what happened last night. Just reports, and there's been reports of people shot. There's been reports that those shots were actually rubber bullets. There's been reports that they were beanbags. So I really don't know. The mayor did report earlier that everyone, all but one of those people, one person was in critical condition. The rest were going to be just fine. So we are happy for that. Breonna's family, she appreciates the support, but she has pled with the community to protest, but protest peacefully. But as she continues to say, change is still needed, and we're going to continue to push for change until we have it.
So do you know what's happening with the police department there? Are there any changes being made? Or how do they feel? Are they making any statements? How are they saying, how are they responding to this?
Yeah, they haven't really responded. As we know, the chief had announced his retirement last week. So at this point, they're in that transition. The mayor did suspend the use of all no-knock warrants at this point in time. So that is one thing that has happened. as well as they are requiring the use of body cameras for all police officers, all sworn officers. So that's two positive things that have come out of here thus far, but there's been no word from the police department at this point.
Lanita, and I mean, there is this tragedy happening, of course, with the George Floyd situation. Do you think any of that will have influence in your case?
Well, I think that with the George Floyd case, what we're seeing, and we're seeing it across America, and to the same extent here in Louisville, Kentucky, is that African Americans are tired. Black America is tired of doing everything right and still dying at the hands of law enforcement officers. We've been saying that it's time for change, and if protesting is the only way to get change, I think that's where people feel that they are at this point. So I think that that's what between Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, I think we're just at a point to where we're exhausted.
Yes, true. Everybody, I think, is exhausted. Well, we appreciate your time so much, Attorney Lanita Baker. We appreciate your time, and please come back for an update.
Thank you.